Buonasera, folks. It's Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. As always, it's me, Teo, and I'm back with the 75th episode of Keeping It Realistic. Can you believe it's already been 75 episodes since we started the show in September 2023? For those of you who switch in for the very first time, this is a show that we do in collaboration with Chaos and which is very much dedicated to our beloved Chaos Campus community. So definitely check it out. And talking about the community, let me check how much of it is actually present here today, because unfortunately we have a bit of a clash with another simultaneously running awesome live session. There is a AMA with Vlado Kuwazov revolving around the latest V-Ray release, V-Ray 7 Update 3, which is happening right now. And honestly, in all fairness, if you are a V-Ray user, especially V-Ray for SketchUp or V-Ray for Rhino, and you have any questions or something you need to know about V-Ray and the latest release of it, then go over there, ask Vlado everything you need to know, and then come back later or watch the recording later. I'll drop you the link so that you can do it if you want to. Don't miss out on that chance. If, however, you want to learn how to create better interior renders, make your images more realistic and what's more believable, then you definitely are at the right place, because today we will be talking about imperfections. And as you know, imperfections tend to be crucial for realism. Maybe some of you actually remember an image which I shared in the very beginning of this year. Let me see if I can actually kind of pull it up for you. It was this one. So it was an image which is showing, my arm in my office. Let me zoom out for a second. And with my Chaos Campus tattoo. Obviously, this was an April Fool's joke, but I still managed to fool some of you with it. People who have tattoos themselves, people who knew which date we had, people who know what AI is capable of, and I still fooled you. And I'm showing you this not to show you how stupid you are, but because it was actually very well done. And the reason for this to be well done enough to fool you is that I used some simple but very impactful tricks on it. First of all, obviously, the very convincing scale. If I would have shown you a full sleeve full of Chaos Campus tattoos, nobody would have bought this. Secondly, it was, and this is where it gets more interesting actually, it is the lighting. I made sure, and the plasticity, I made sure that the tattoo doesn't look too flat through light and shadow. I made sure that it feels kind of slightly bumpy, which made it feel more realistic. And last but definitely not least, it is the deliberate imperfection. You see this rash or this inflamed skin around the tattoo. This was a part of my prompt, and I really wanted it to be there because I was sure, as it also turned out to be in the end, that would be the part that would trick and manipulate the common sense of many of you, which it finally ended up doing. And why do I show you all of this? It's because these are exactly some of the topics that we'll be discussing during today's episode, obviously with less focus on April Fool's jokes and more on interior design visualization. And for this, I have the perfect guest, and she's there willing to share her knowledge with all of us. So without any further ado, let me invite her over. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say hi, welcome with me straight from Italy, Signora Lisa Della Dora. Ciao, Lisa.
Ciao, Teo. Thank you for having me. It's
Thanks
so
for being
nice
here.
to be here. Yeah.
How did you like my AI tattoo?
I mean, you didn't fool me, but it was very well done. It's just because I'm always very aware of April Fools. Having kids myself, they always like to.
You have to be.
Yes, of course. But yeah, I also have a lot of them, the tattoos, not only the kids. So it was very well done. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was just the intro for today's episode. I wanted to make it a bit more interesting and engaging because today we'll be discussing the topic of imperfections, lighting, and all of those things which make renders more realistic, more authentic, more believable. So let's do it this way. By the way, I wasn't sure about our audience today because, as I mentioned, there is another very interesting live session happening at the same moment. But our fans are here. Amit is here. Ahmed, Francesco, Michael, Ashley, Vieco is here. Great to have you here, my friends. It's always awesome to have such a cool audience like you. And of course, today we have, it's understandable that you're here because we have this wonderful guest, Lisa. In the show, before we dive into the topic that we're discussing, we usually like to get to know our guest better.
Yes.
And obviously, some know you from MADI, from renderit. Others are just fans of your work. But I'm personally kind of missing the full picture here.
Yeah.
So please tell us a bit more about yourself and your creative journey.
I can do it visually as well.
But this would be even better.
So I will share my screen. This screen. Let me see this. Exactly. So you see that. So it's messy, but it's me, so of course it's going to be messy. So how it started. So everyone, I'm Lisa. Della, as Teo mentioned. I studied architecture in Venice a couple of years ago. This is actually the first ever render that I did for my final dissertation thesis. And this is my husband, and that time he was my boyfriend. And this is the day we moved to Berlin because we studied in Venice and we decided that Italy was not a great place to start our career. So we moved to Berlin, where I started working as an architect in competition. Then after being very much burned out and tired, I decided to go into visualization, and I joined Art of Images at the time. And there I started as a 3D modeler, and then I went into interior visualizations. And this is the day we actually, it's very fast. My life in Berlin, I stayed there for 3 years, but then we decided to move back to Italy. And this is when and where renderit started. You mentioned that. It started mainly because I felt a little bit alone. I was already working from home with Andrea, my husband, and we've been doing that since 2017. So it's almost 9 years that we've been working from home remotely. But I didn't know anyone else doing this job, especially in Italy. So I decided that the only way to find out who was doing this stuff was to reach out to them. So that's why I started renderit, basically, because I wanted to know the people and know their stories. It's a little bit like what you do. Yes, I started rendering in 2018. And then I think there are more than 50 interviews there. It's in Italian. I'm sorry, guys. But that was the idea behind it. It was to bring the Italian community together. There is a YouTube channel and Instagram page. Then I decided that I wanted to learn a bit more. So I enrolled into a master about interior design. The only problem is that when I finished, I was having a 3 weeks old kid. So my final thesis, the discussion was would be between breastfeeding sessions, but this is the big boy. Now he's almost 7. But I speak fast and I speak a lot, Teo. So when you want, you can stop me. But I try to sum up a little bit.
Totally in it.
I tried to sum up a little bit how things went. So basically, one of the first interviews I did for renderit, so I was thinking who were the people that were more. I don't want to say important because that's not the correct word, but that were more into it and this kind of field. So I reached out to Fabio Palvelli as one of the first one, but also I reached out to Fabio Dagnano. He was my professor at the university. He was the only one who actually taught me that you could use computer to do stuff. and show me 3ds Max for the first time. So I decided to reach out to him. And I also found out that, and I knew that he was working at and actually founded the MADI, the postgraduate master in architecture visualization at the Europe University. So I interviewed him, and one thing led to another. And later, 2 years later, he invited me to join the team at MADI. And there I've been teaching for years, Corona, and I've also been doing the art direction and placement. So that's that.
This is an awesome story, though. Like,
That's an interesting one.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I joined the MADI in 2020. So it's already been 6 years. And it's definitely my passion project within, together with renderit. Then fast forward, the twins arrived, and now I have 3 kids, because that's also happening on the sides of my life. And this year, since
Show us more of the twins. They're so sweet. Come on, zoom in a bit.
There's that's the whole crew, you see. And they turned 1 2 weeks ago, and that's Teo knows that because I forgot about that at some point.
Yes.
2026, I went on maternity leave for the twins. I got back, and I really wanted to do things because I tend to get bored easily. So in this year, I started having a new position at bloomimages. This is the place where I'm working right now remotely, and where I've been working remotely for 8 years now. I have been working as a senior 3D artist there, as project manager, art director in the past. Right now, I'm head of brands and communication, and I'm taking care of the sides. They're not exactly the visual sides, but it's more about the communication and how we present ourselves to the world. On top of that, this year I decided to start doing some consulting job with artists, and that's also something I really, really like to do. It's talking to people, confronting, supporting, and giving my advice when it's hopefully useful.
Because you didn't have enough tasks already.
Yes, I have a problem, to you. I'm sorry. I'm already in therapy for that, but she also told me
It doesn't work.
she also told me it's fine. Do whatever you want at this point. I give up. But the last thing for this year, actually, when we were both on parental leave with my husband, we saw this place. This is where we live. This is not where we live. This is in our town. And it was, they were selling this place at a quite cheap money. And we decided to invest in it. And we are already renovating it. And this is going to become a co-working space and a place where we are going to host events and workshops. Oof, so yeah. So that's basically it. We're in the middle of the renovation, so it's a little bit messy, but it's very exciting because we know how hard it can be to work from home. I've been done that for almost 10 years. So we really wanted a place to connect, and also the twins take up a little bit of space. So we needed to free some space in the house as well. So all came together. And oof, I think that's it for my kind of.
You don't need to
short.
rush, though. We have time. People
No,
are
but
used.
that's me. I'm always in a rush, unfortunately.
Okay, guys. So if you want to, let's say, go to MADI, prepare yourselves. You gotta be quick to make it. Okay, so that's really nice. By the way, many people joining, being very happy to see you. I think some are joining really especially because of you. Nice comments like "Hello everyone, ciao a tutti, adoro l'Italia," if I can pronounce it halfway correct.
Perfetto, perfetto.
from Irakli. Anna is here. Who else did I see? Nancy, and yeah, it's really getting wild in the comments. I managed to share links to everything: your Instagram, Bloom Images, renderit, MADI, so that
Great.
people can.
Thank
I
you.
mean, there are many places where people can find you nowadays.
Yes.
It seems.
Yes. Yes.
And so, what do you plan to do with this shared co-working space? Do you want to move there, you and Andrea, and have other people
Yeah.
also be there?
Yes. I mean, we are going to have 8 to 10 like desks, so people can definitely stay there as long as they want. And but we're going also to have some daily options. So, we live in a very nice place. I mean, Italy is in general a very nice place. But where we live, it's a thermal place, and it's close to Venice, and our co-working is super close to the train station that goes in Venice in half an hour. So it's a very small town because we're around 11,000 people. So it's very small. But it's very nice. We have all the thermal areas and the pools and the hills and the wine. So it's a nice place also for people traveling by. So we hope to make it like a hub where people connect and share things, and also, we'll see. But I have a lot of things in my mind, and it's also a place that were kind of abandoned, this kind of this area of the town, and now it's all coming back, and we hope to like help with that. And also, as we met in Berlin, Theo, and I mentioned that already, but I think that uh, the more the everything goes worldwide and fast and crazy and AI, I'm a little bit fed up. So I try to scale down, be present, meet people. So I love doing that, going to places. And yeah, actually, I forgot that I have other stuff to share. So let's do that. Let me go back to that.
Yeah, come on.
So yeah, while
Oh,
I
this is
was
a very
mentioned
interesting
that,
topic. Yeah,
yes, this is what I was actually mentioning, how much I love to be with people. And these are some of the places I've been over the years, the conferences. So there is D2, the Wervis Festival, where you are going this year, and I'm going this year as well. So
we'll meet there.
for the people that are coming to Warsaw, we'll meet there. And then there is Berlin, where I was invited, and the soda is the last one. So I think for me, it's vital to have those kind of occasions to meet people in person, because otherwise, I'm lucky because I work with my husband, even if we try to like separate work as much as possible, but not very possible. But yeah, I think it's very important for me, for us to meet the people. So these are just few of the things that I've been doing in this field over the years. So I've been lucky enough to be invited as a judge in some competition. I've been talking in some occasions, and I'm really, really grateful because I think we have a great community, and I've been working in this field for almost 10 years now, and it was very nice to prepare this for you, because I had the chance to look back at these things and putting
You can
all.
gladly zoom in, by the way, as Amit points out, so that we
Yes, I
actually
am
see a bit of both.
shy. I am shy. I don't
You
like
don't
to.
need to be shy.
Yes, but
Why?
I
This
don't like to
is
brag. But yes, there are some covers, some honorable mentions, some podcasts, and yeah, things. Lisa does things,
you
and
can now add keeping it realistic to the list.
yes, I'm looking forward.
Finally, you wanted to say that.
Finally, I can. Yes.
Yeah, but it's awesome to have you here and to hear your story. And honestly, I absolutely understand this one. I also live in a small town. It's, let's say, 3 times larger than yours. It's 30,000, but for German, let's say, scale, it's not really a big one. And I like it here. I don't want to live in a big,
No,
busy
when I
town, but going to such towns like Berlin from time to time, or Warsaw, whatever, to meet people, to have this, very crazy and dynamic lifestyle for a few days and then go back to normal. I very much enjoy, I gotta say.
Same. Like my town is so small that actually I don't ever use the car, and I walk like ever. I mean, I have it, but I don't need it, and I'm also always walking around. So for me, it's I need this kind of scale. Berlin was very nice, but very intense for me. I need smaller, and then I have Venice close by, and yes, I need my little nest.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
with kids, it's adding, it's great for kids if they have more space to play around, to just be wild, run around and all
yes.
of those things. So yeah, I understand it. And this co-working space sounds really, really interesting. And what type of events or meetups do you plan to do there? Like local ones?
Yes, for now, I would love to bring the local community together. We have a lot of very inspiring women around me. For example, last month, one of my neighbors, she works with ceramic and she's very good. And she opened an atelier quite close to our co-working, and then I have another couple of women in mind that are very inspiring for me. So I would like to create like a network for local kind of, and I would like to be able to create a little bit of contamination between different kind of fields. So I
So it's
mean, yeah,
not
it's
exclusively 3D as I hear, because
no, I
ceramics.
mean, who knows 3D in Montegrotto Terme?
Yeah, this I was, as you said, the local community, I was like, okay, this name seems to be like
No. I mean,
out of
I would love
11,000,
to.
9,000 3D artists or something.
No. I would love to do some renderit events for sure. If I will be able to do that. But for now, it's totally completely different from. I mean, it's the idea is still to have a kind of a creative co-working, so to bring together like designers, architects, so like-minded people, but it doesn't have to be in this field. Like we already are in contact with one person that is interested, and he's in energy engineer. Then we have another architect. So I mean, we're not closing the doors to anyone, of course, but we would like to like have this kind of contamination, because I think those are the times where the most interesting things happens. And like for example, down here, and then I'm done. I collected some of the weird stuff that I've been doing over the years. Most of them came out of my crazy mind, but also of competition challenges, like the D2 challenges. So sometimes you had just one model and you have to find ways to create something. So what I do usually in this occasion is try to go as far away as possible from architecture or from usual stuff, and try like this is one of my all-time favorite. I think it's just an illustration. It's pretty easy technically, but for me it was opening the doors to illustrations for me. And that's this nothing of this is AI. It's because I'm too old and these images are too old. So they AI was not a thing when I did these images. Of course I also play around with AI, but these are all full 3ds Max and just a tiny bit of Photoshop on it in the end. So yeah, I like to
Totally understand this
do.
though. If you
Yeah.
do ArcViz like professionally, when you do something in your free time that you don't want it to be ArcViz, but something entirely else, which more or less all of those images are. And I think that's fantastic, very inspiring. Tell me the story of the whale in the forest, please.
I mean, if you notice, I
You
mean,
need to zoom in a bit more.
yes, sorry, here we are. So it started with this young lady here. I had already one image of her in a path. It was more of like a frontal path view. And then I was trying to imagine what she was actually doing this forest alone, because at some point I placed her there, but I didn't know why. So I don't know. I think it happened one evening while I was reading my older kid one story, and I kind of had this image in my head. It was not directly related to what we were reading, but it kind of like popped up, and I really had to do it. But usually it's always, I like the scale of having always like a smaller, most of the time is a child, not always, but I like for them to go on in adventures or things like that. Like this one, I think I did this one as soon as I came back from 1D2, and I wanted to experiment, and also I'm really into nature and forests and things like that. So it's either one single person or someone with a dog, for example. But yeah, I always like to have this kind of huge scale. Like this
Yeah.
is
But the
again,
scale contrast is kind of always there.
yes, yes, exactly.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Didn't you say for this one that it was so good that the person is so far away that you know you don't have to care about how realistic they are or
Yeah.
something like this? Yeah,
That's so one of the reason why they are so far away and so small and from the back. But you have to be smart when you do 3D. And the funny thing is that when I do this kind of images is most of the time always because I want to test something. So for example, this one, I really wanted to make this landscape from a flat plane. So it's a 3ds max plane, and then I got crazy with waves and things and noise, and all those dunes are actually coming from one plane with some procedural stuff on top. And this thing is actually a Zaha did bench out of scale, and
yeah,
it looks to me like a
yeah,
spaceship or something. So yeah, I
totally.
have to be fast when I do these things.
But this was the creativity, though. I mean, nowadays with AI, you can just prompt, okay, place a person here and there. But back then, when you had those 3D people who were, you know, it was good to have them,
Yeah.
but they weren't really realistic, especially as a close
No.
up. You couldn't use
Yeah.
them, and so you needed to be creative with them and to have a creative approach to make them work and still make them usable. And this is how, with finding workarounds, people would develop a style or start creating a specific type of thing, which, you know, we don't have as a limitation nowadays, which can be both good but also bad. We'll talk about AI in the Q&A. By the way, my friends, in the end of the show, there is going to be a Q&A where you can ask Lisa whatever you want to ask her. If she
Basically,
answers, it's a different topic. I also have
I'll
prepared my
answer
questions.
basically. I think it depends. Let's not say already what I will answer or what I want, but I think nothing is off topic for me for now. We'll
That's
see.
so cool. Thank you so much. Is it still part of your story, creative journey?
This
Or
was it. Yes. Now
this was it?
this is all the mess that I showed you all together. This is how my brain was working while preparing this
That's so nice
chapter.
to see that you zoomed out for us to see your, you know, thought process
Yeah.
and your type of organization as as a mom of three. Uh, so yeah, thank you so much for sharing this with us. Now, I personally feel that we know you better, and we can, if you want to, we can move over to, let's say, the main topic,
Let's
the
do
art of imperfection. Please zoom in on those people once again, though, because
the
yeah, as
people.
Amit said, there's so many nice people here,
This is
and
very blurry. But yeah, we have a lot of people. Andrea is always there. That's the husband. Then we have Bessie here. We have Lucia Flascella here. Unzio from Soyo. This is the MADI crowd at the D2 events. This is Fabio Dagnano. And this is part of bloomimages team, plus Nunzi from Soyo. He's everywhere, basically.
so everywhere the Italians stick together, kind of, right?
Yes. And this was my first D2 ever. It was 8 years ago, yes. And there's a lot of, it's Lucia, Nadia, and this is Paolo from Engram, Vittorio Bonapace. This is a lot of nice people. Davide from MADI, The Level Creative Studio. Massimiliano. Yes, we have a lot of Michele Tonelli. Yes,
The
the
Italian crowd is
Boundary. All
really
Italians,
strong.
you know. I mean, this is Eleonora from the Boundary. He's the founder of Estetica, Andrea Baresi, Federico Biancullo, Fabio Palvelli. It's all Italians, you know. I mean, we were in Vienna, but you could not really say where we were. And yes,
Yeah, let's
a
see
lot of nice
what
people.
happens in Warsaw.
Yes.
If you're still going to be the biggest gang there, or they're going to be more polished there.
No, this is a photo from Warsaw. You see, it's a little bit more quiet. It was a little
You're
bit.
an Italian minority almost.
No, this was just the MADI, my MADI
Oh,
student
this Maddie. Okay.
from previous editions. Yes. So yeah.
Whatever it is, I'm so happy that we're gonna hang out once again in
Me
June.
too. Me too.
It's going to be awesome. And good
Yes.
weather, hopefully. Okay, let's move over to our topic for the day,
The
the art
official
of
one?
imperfection. What did we call it? The art of imperfection, lighting and details in interiors.
Yes.
So cool.
Exactly.
So this is why we start with light and
Yes.
lighting.
So I mean, this is the approach that I used to have when I was teaching. And I think that's, for me, the basics. And you might not see why it's connected to imperfection, but I'm sure you will notice that on the way, because I think when you talk about interiors, there are some things that can really make a difference, and light, it's definitely one of those. That's why I'm calling this small part training the eye. So the first thing that I like to do when I'm talking about interiors, it's taking the color out of the equation, because it can be so distracting. And so when I work with students, and usually they don't have much experience, the color, the balancing of the color usually mess up the scenes right away. So what I try to do is giving them a first exercise, just one very directional light and no color in the image. And that makes a difference, because you can already see, even if they don't have much experience, because it's at the very beginning when they do this exercise, they can already have something kind of portfolio ready, because when you are able to master simple composition and light, you can make a very impactful image. Of course, the less is more thing, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But as you can see, when you're using this kind of light in the right way, then you start noticing all the details, because it's just those two things that are talking. It's the light and the materials and the surfaces, and all those wrinkles. You focus on them, because that's like the main character of the scene. So that's why I like it so much to start. And usually what I ask the students is to have some references, because I also think that's really, really needed when you started in this field, because no one invented anything actually. So working with good references and always going back to them and trying to understand how the blacks and the whites are balanced, how the materials are popping out, and this really makes a difference. And also, what I like about those two examples, and it's something that you will notice I tend to do a lot in my images, it's also to introduce an element that kind of goes against the light, and it kind of makes a difference. For example, this is a simple
Gobos!
plant. And so that's the first thing. And I always do that. I still do that. When I'm working on an image, I put it black and white, even if the image is already done, even if it's almost finished. Before it's final, for me, I always have to check it in black and white and see that everything is balanced, because when you take out the color from the equation, you really start noticing what is balanced and what is not. And yeah, that's the first thing that I like to talk about when talking about light. Then, of course, you can and you have to start introducing also the color. Yes. And what is very powerful for me in interior images is working with a well balanced natural light. I'm a big fan of caustics as well. When I learned how to manage them in Corona some years ago, I was so excited. So I was placing caustics everywhere, but I think I have some examples down there. But you
If it
see,
wasn't from the render times, it would be even better. But maybe.
yeah, I mean that. Yes, the long nights of rendering time and
But Kel's
computer.
now introduced the quick caustics in V-Ray 7 Update 3, which is a huge innovation, and I hope that someday it finds its way to.
That would be cool. So yeah, you see, slightly obsessed with having something that is interacting with the light, even if it's outside of your scene, because I think it helps a little bit to tell your story better, to understand better the environment that you're into. Um, yes, and still imperfections. You see how this it's different where the light is touching it, where it's in the shadow, the way it interacts with the materials. So being able to find the correct light for the correct materials and the correct scene, it definitely makes a difference. And also don't overgo. And when I'm talking about that, what I have in mind is more these kind of images. And these for me are the last step when I'm teaching because it's the most difficult part. Being able to balance natural light and artificial light and keeping it realistic, uh, it's the most difficult part. So always work with references. It doesn't have to be something connected to what you're working on, but I think it's very important that it makes sense and it works. It can be super simple, but I think when you have a well balanced, I mean, this image for me, it's super simple, but it's already amazing the way it's.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And also for me, it's very important and mandatory is to look at real life stuff and never have AI made stuff as references, but look for photographers and people that do that in real life because, you know,
Better
it's,
also no renders, just
yeah,
photography.
no, render, absolutely no. Always just photography. It's not easy because Pinterest used to be my word, but right now is flooded with AI stuff. But you can still find it or find some photographers that you really like and go through their website and see what they do. So yeah, but also here you see that it's very simple light, but how it's bringing out the real texture of this this wall and how imperfect it is. So these are just some example of why I think light is so important in this topic and when we're talking about interiors. So here I have some examples of things that I've done myself. And this is a series, those three of images that I've simply recreated from photos of Tommaso Sartori, is an Italian photographer. He does a lot of product design photos, not only that, but is very good. And also architecture photography. So for me, the exercise in these images was trying to, even if I didn't know the project, so it was just from these images, trying to understand how the light was working, our real life light was working, because those were photos. Of course, they were post production because to replicate this was definitely not easy. But when you have that kind of light, look at these materials, how they pop up, just the details. I mean,
The highlights, yeah, totally.
Yes,
The
I know.
structure.
The structure of the wall. I mean, I'm a crazy enough person to go around and touch stuff. Like I like to touch walls. I like to touch surfaces, and but that's because when your brain touches, then it's also it creates a new connection, and then it's not all only the eyes, but it's also the tactile feeling. So this one was very hard to replicate. I mean, because I really wanted to get to the photo. Maybe later I can search for the original reference, but yes, it was very nice. I mean, I get a little bit obsessed about these things when I start, and but you see what I mean about light and details and imperfections. This is all 3D.
But the bathtub one is just amazing though, because it's actually so dark,
Yeah,
but you still can distinguish what we have in the foreground just
yeah,
by the highlights of
yeah,
its silhouette,
yeah.
more or
It's
less.
crazy. I mean, when you zoom in, you understand it better because you also start to seeing those details. But when you zoom out, it's everything is basically black. So yeah, you see, this is me having fun with the acoustics, with the glass, and I was so excited about these images. But still, it's about details, about those kind of little things, having a not so perfect surface, having those kind of details in the materials that will pop out when you have the correct light.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and also here, I mean, for me, that's the most exciting part of this image because you have this warmth, and even if you zoom out, it can still help you understand these kind of details. And of course, I all of this kind of foggy, rainy thing, it's done in 3D. And also, I'm a great fan of volumetric, so outside it's all volumetric stuff. So yeah, light, very important. And then has to be well balanced. And yeah, you see, when I didn't have the right 3D people, I tried to place some 2D little stuff. But yeah, I mean, if I look at it now, this was one of the first ones. There are so many things that I would change, but still, I think it kind of works. And
I love the glass. Can you zoom in on the glass a
yeah,
bit?
I mean, when I tell you that I'm slightly crazy, the glass has a little bit of distance, so it has dirts on all the corners, like it will be in reality. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
With a distance map?
yes, I think so. I
Yeah,
mean,
give me a high five. I love the distance map, and every time, yeah, every time I people ask me, "What is your favorite Corona map?"
the
It's always
distance.
a distance map. I do everything with it: street markings, road markings,
Yes. Also,
imperfections.
this placement is good. You know, this wall it's not. I mean, it's a geometry, but if you look at the geometry, it's full. And I made the hole with the displacement. So I created a map, a black map, and I pushed it so much that it actually broke the geometry. So yeah, I really had fun doing this stuff. But yes, you can see it better here, the details in the glass, and those are, I think, the thing. Yeah, you see also a little bit of
Yeah,
thingies
and
here.
exactly this is the type of stuff which makes images relatable, realistic, and
Yes.
more believable when you
Yeah.
look at them. Because
Yeah, I mean, this image went a little bit out of my head at some point. It was all over the place on Instagram and websites. I don't know how many people stole it, but many people did. But yes, it was one of the first ones, and I really did spend a lot of time on the details, and I actually really, really enjoy that. Yes,
it's
it's
beautiful.
cute. It's cute, but you can see the problems with with the displacement here because it was a little bit too harsh. But never, never zoom in too much.
You know, this is one of those things that if you hadn't spoken about it, we wouldn't have noticed. So please don't do it in the future.
I will. But one other thing that I'm quite obsessed about is plants. As you can see, it's something that it comes back in my images, and being able to work with the translucency, that's also something I'm really keen on. The translucency, like every time that I import a model, I have to rework the translucency. And then when I'm happy, I can stop. But you see this kind of effect. What are you doing, computer? This kind of
Yeah.
effect that you have interaction with the light is all 3D, but it's so natural, and I like it.
Translucency is amazing.
Translucency is so cool. Yes. So yes, that's a little bit about light, and then we can go more into the details.
Amit, wait a second, please. Amit says, can we get a bit of in-depth of that displacement map that created the hole in the wall, like on the wall?
Ooh,
Yeah.
so sorry. Let me, because I have it there somewhere. I think
This is a live session, you know?
Yes. But I'm not afraid of. I just have, as you have noticed, I think you've noticed that I'm slightly messy, so I might be able to find it. I will also not be able to find it because I did create behind the scenes a making of, as you want to call it. But of course, I have no clue where it is. If you want, I can show you. I think I have it on YouTube. Can I show? Can I share a YouTube thing?
Sure, you can share whatever you want. Well, maybe not porn or something.
No, that shouldn't happen. It's also very funny because I'm the only Lisa Dora existing at this moment, so it's very easy to find stuff actually.
Really? That's
Yes,
cool.
it's not a very common. Yes. Okay, sorry. This was me introducing myself. But anyway, this video is open on YouTube. You just can't find it.
Okay.
I wanted to see if I described. Yeah, that's the old making of that image, because I'm pretty sure I'm sharing how the material is done. But anyway, if I don't find it and then gets a little bit boring for you guys, you can go through this video. There's also
Boring, sorry.
the Photoshop file. Was from Academy Days 2020. It's making of Garden Night, and we
Yep.
can place the link if you
The
want.
link is already in the comments.
Ah, you're so fast.
Yes. It's my job, you know. I'm not presenting to them, I'm just listening.
I know. Yes, and that's very old stuff. That's Corona 6, my dear Lord. Yes, but you can also see all the, I think I showed in this making of also a little bit of how those materials are done, what we were talking about, like the glass. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, you can see in here that it's actually the distance. No, this is just about lights. Okay, sorry, Amit. I hope I could be faster, but I'm not. But the video is there, and if you have doubts and your questions, you ask me, and I will reply and search for that map. It's simply a white map with a black hole, where I actually did it in Photoshop, and I was drawing those little bricks that I wanted to go away. So coming back to the details, then if anyone has any question about any image, we can go through them later or now, when you want.
I'll let you know. Let's
So
continue.
yes, thank you. This is a nice random collection of photos that I like of interiors. And why I like to collect them, it's because it's about, as I mentioned up here, training the eye. Because when you look at something, you're so used to that you don't even notice that anymore. But when you start this exercise about understanding why this image is real, what makes a difference from like a flat, perfect render, are definitely the details. So, for example, this is a very much Berlin style kind of project.
Yeah.
And what I like when I work on a project is always trying to find a way to make that project speaks by itself. So if it's a Berlin project, you have to find a way to let it speak and say by itself that it's a Berlin project. So there are some specific things of those kind of apartments, like those openings. If you live there, you know that they all open with these teeny tiny things, for examples. But you see what I mean? I mean, this floor is very, very old. This carpet is definitely not straight, as you might have like a square
Yeah.
rug on a 3D model. The cables are all over the place. Of course, it's not nice to see in a render, and it's not something that you should do deliberately, but it's something that you should notice when you're working on this stuff. And for example, you see the skirting, the perfect snapping of a skirting never exists. You always have this teeny tiny shadow underneath that makes it more believable, because of course it's not perfectly aligned in real life. Lamps usually have cables. That's something that really
Yeah.
bothers me. It's
No,
saying those floor lamps in the middle of rooms. Of course, there are the LED, I know that, but most of the time,
they're battery operated, all of them.
exactly. But I mean, sometimes they also have cables. So,
Yeah, I have a question about this one because you mentioned a very interesting topic. You know, it's in Berlin, so people should be able to recognize that it's in Berlin. So, what advice would you give to people for achieving that authentic sense of place? You know, like for example, you know, our exercise that we're doing, it's an apartment in Germany. So this apartment in Germany shouldn't kind of look like an apartment in Italy
yeah,
or in Ecuador or whatever.
yeah.
So what's the advice that you would give there, you know, to achieve, for
So,
achieving the sense of place?
yeah, part of the exercise that usually I like to give when someone is approaching interiors for the first time is doing as a first thing writing a text. So you have to describe. I mean, it was a little bit like prompting back then, but without the AI. But making those personas, making like a clear text of who's living the space, what are they doing, what job they are doing, what do they like to do. This is, if you ask my former students, they will tell you that I'm quite obsessed about this stuff. But this is the stuff that makes a difference, because when you clearly know who used that space, then your space will reflect that. So it's not, of course, there are a lot of super luxury kind of projects that looks more like a showroom than an actual house, and that's okay. But when you're working on this scale, like the exercise that you guys are doing, I think it's very important to have clear who's living there. Is it a family? Is it a single man in his 40s? Is it a couple of young creative people in their 30s that likes to travel? Like, really write down, imagine who's this space for. That's the first thing that I always do, because then you are able to bring together things that make sense. Of course, if you put magazines in your scene and you're in Germany, if they are in Italian, it makes no sense. If there are books, of course, you can also have a little bit of English books, but most of the time it will be in German. And those kind of little details, what kind of, I mean, interior plants, doesn't matter because it's fine, but what kind of trees would you see outside? And all those kind of things. How does normal facade would look like if you're looking outside of the window? So those things are things that helps you ground the project to a specific place and a specific person. And for me, those are the things that makes the difference in the long run when you're working in this scale on a real interior for a real person. And yes, that would be my advice. Did I answer your question?
Great advice. Absolutely.
Okay.
It absolutely
Okay.
does. And I mean, in our case, we don't have, let's say, specific people who are going to, let's say, the clients who are going to move into that apartment. But we got the advice, I think it was the very first show dedicated to the topic with Meg, who said, then come up with an avatar of your own. Like, imagine, let's say, the
Yes,
family that would
that's
move in
exactly.
there, and then write the text for it.
Exactly. That's building the personas. That's what it's called. It's buyers personas in marketing. But one thing that I used to say to my students was, try to imagine that you're showing this image to your grandma. And just by looking at the image, your grandma has to understand who's living there. So you really have to think about the details. And it could be like a camera on somewhere, is someone that is really into photography. It could be a travel guide open on on a shelf, things like that. I mean, of course, this is about details. So I'm really into details right now. You don't have to do it for every scene and every time, but if you're like to do this kind of exercise, I think it's very nice and funny.
Thank you so much. Let me just read you a comment by Danushka who says, it's just wonderful to see when someone speaks the same visual language, music to my ears. He's also an interior designer and visualizer, 3D artist, and a very good one, by the way. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, please
Thank
continue.
you, thank you. And so, yeah, I think this is a general exercise that I would do for all these images. And I like them as well because they're not perfect photos. Like, you have this kind of tilted kind of view. You have this very imperfection on this herringbone floor. The I mean, you cannot even see where it's touching down here because it's completely into the rug. So these kind of details I see too many times. Things are flying over the carpets and things like that. So yeah, and you see real life translucency. That's very nice.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, I try to collect those, and yeah, and
I mean, it's always a fine balance because let's say the straightening your verticals is always something that we
no, this I
kind of
wouldn't
do.
do. No, I wouldn't do. I mean, this kind of camera, but
Yeah.
that's a little bit too much. But just because it brings me back to a real life situation. But this I wouldn't suggest. No client would be
I
happy
mean,
to have that.
depends on what you're after, though. At the end,
Yes.
if you, let's say, you're a blender artist, you don't care about artwork and stuff. You just wanna do this very, very
Yeah.
photorealistic, whatever, grandma's kitchen, and
Yeah.
then make it tilted. It's even more realistic this
Yeah.
way.
It's that's true. And also, these are all before we were in Germany. Now we're moving to Italy, and you can tell that from the terrazzo floors.
Terrazzo. Yeah.
Yes, that's something I really really love. Of course, I'm not telling you to move all the edges and the vertices of the frames and to make them messy, but something that I always do, for example, to walls when I'm working on interiors, is giving it a tiny bit of a chamfer because I mean, I would like to touch my my wall there now, but if you notice that it's never a 90 degrees perfect angle because there is a lot of layers on top, and so it's impossible. So never have super straight, perfect corners of the walls. Always had a tiny bit of chamfer.
If I
And
may
you could,
add to this, I also like to add subdivision to some walls and a very, very, very slight noise modifier on
like
top of it. So that
here.
because in real life, walls are never perfectly flat.
Yeah, look
Just
at
the way it is.
this. Yeah,
Just take a look at this.
yeah,
It's visible from here.
yeah. You can notice that. Yes, and the pillows also. I mean, those are details, and I'm I'm telling you that I'm quite obsessed about these things. But when you bring them together, I think in the end, they make a difference. And I think something that I liked in one of those images, like, for example, when you put a magazine or a book, or I mean, book, of course, it's a little bit different, but a magazine, I mean, look at this. It's never straight. Of course, as soon as you open it, it will never lay flat ever in its life anymore. So adding this kind of noise on top, it's very nice. And then I have these that was pretty in your face. I don't see that. Oh yeah, this one. Something that I always do is giving it a tiny bit of a tilt to the frames, because as soon as you hang them, the needle, not the needle, what's the name? The screw? No,
No, the nail.
the nail. A lot of words, all of them wrong. Nail will push it a little bit out. So you will always have this kind of shadow. So it's always more realistic to have it this way.
But you know what? This is the important thing, I think, here with everything that you said is to be observant. Some of those things you can see on reference images, like we see them here, beautifully collected by Lisa. But what you also can do, which really helps a lot, is just live your life, be
Yeah.
active out there, hang an image on the wall, then you don't need a reference for this, then you know how
Yeah,
it works.
exactly. Like this masseria. It's beautiful, but there's a freaking air condition there.
Yeah.
But that's happening. I mean, you need the plugs in the walls, you need the appliances and everything, because otherwise the life doesn't exist. I mean, you can place this cool stuff if you want, if you have an old style kind of place, but still you need the plugs. Otherwise, it's not real. And these kind of details, I really, really enjoy these tiny crumbles, real life. Basically, I'm just, of course, if we were here together, I will make you notice them in real life. But you see, noticing stuff in real life really helps you recreate them when you're working on your images. So for me, it's a lot about things that are not perfect. So, for example, talking about distance, my dear Teo, this kind
Yeah.
of darkest and wettest kind of things on this bus project, it's made with a distance map, because the closer to the water, the wetter it is, the more far from the water, of course,
Obviously, this is just the best.
I also have another one about the pool. I am so messy. Yeah, here I think I did something similar. Why? Why don't you like to? Ah, no, it's loading. It's thinking. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. But yes, this kind of dirt, when you have this lower ground floor, it's again a distance map. But yeah, I like to. Those are all personal projects. It's not always easy to bring these kind of details in a more commercial project. Of course, I know that, but still, for me, personal projects are always an occasion to test something out. For example, this Vals one was in 2019. Was actually my first personal project. So I never used the volumetrics for the water, for example. So I wanted to do something, and I did it in this occasion. I think, yes, I used. Of course, when you do a lot of personal project, then you can reuse your materials on and on forever. For
Yeah.
example, this vase stone I created from scratch. It's a floor generator. And I took real photos of the project and real photos of the material, and separate them in Photoshop. So I had my multi-texture thing ready. And I used it also here. But also here I had the same thing, like some dirt, some water splashes around the person. I think it's more visible probably on the top view. And there are always animals even in my images usually. You can see the turtle is here. But yeah. And also this was all about caustics and having this kind of ripple effect. So for me, it's personal projects are usually R&D, are my kind of R&D, because when I was in production, I didn't have time in my real life project to do these things. So, or for example, this image, I have a lot of dirt because this little one, of course, did a lot of mess. So, and plants everywhere. Yes. So that's me, what I think about interiors, what I think what it's important, like this carpet. It's definitely not flat. It's definitely not, I mean, it could have been even more this side. It's still a little bit too flat for my liking. You know.
Yeah, I
Trying to
do.
tell a little bit of story about the person that it's there and putting animals everywhere. That's my kind of
It's your
plants and
trademark.
animals. Yes. Plants, animals, or kids that are alone in the dark. But also those teeny tiny things. Yeah. Teo, I think I showed what I wanted. If you want, we can go more in depth on something. So this is my zoom out about those topics. So the details and the light.
Sure. I mean, first of all, thank you very much. These are very inspiring images, all of them. Your references, the light ones, and your personal projects as well. If there is a personal project you want to, let's say, tell us a bit more about or something, you can gladly do it. Otherwise, we can jump into some questions. Up to you.
Yes. I mean, I think I will happily answer the questions, and maybe doing that something. I mean, I will also have a look at my folder of projects if there's something that it's kind of missing, but I think I show most of them already. I have some more, but they are not about interiors, so that's why they're not in there.
I have a bit of a maybe a tiny bit too specific question from Amit here, but it's like just a quick question. When you do or use so many imperfections and details in every aspect, how much time does it take for an interior, let's say 3-bedroom, living room, kitchen, from start to finish, for the 3D part? Let's talk about this
For
because
the 3D part. So
yeah, modeling, texturing,
let
lighting,
me
rendering, and delivery. Oh no, it's
reshare
not only the 3D part; it's just the whole part
the
about it. So
whole
like the whole process.
process. So let me share.
It's a reasonable question, of course, because you know, just
No, it
putting a
makes total
couch
sense.
somewhere in there is one thing,
Yeah,
but trying to give every corner this
yeah,
attention of details and imperfections and scratches and whatnot, it of course takes its time.
time. Yeah. So this was a project that I did. So a little bit of behind the stories. My first kid was born 3 months 3 months, yes, prior to our big lockdown in Italy. We've been locked down for quite a lot. He was 3 months old when we went into lockdown, and I never left my apartment with him for 2 months. So I don't know if you guys have kids, but when your kid is 3 months and you go out the next time when it's 5 months, it's a fucking nightmare. Okay. So and also he just started sleeping and napping during the day when he was on his stroller outside. And then they told me, you cannot go out anymore. And I was also very, of course, my first kids, the COVID, we didn't know. So I really, really never took him out. So the only moments it was snapping at the time, I was going to my computer because that was the only thing I could do, or I would like to do. So this is how this project started. So there is the andrà tutto bene kind of things, because we have all this hand drawing from the kids on the windows outside. Everything is going to be okay. Now I get emotional, but with the rainbows and everything. So it was a tough time, and but I have a lot of time at the same time because I was not working because I was on maternity leave.
Yeah.
So I decided to start these projects. I mean, if I look at them right now, I find them cute because I see a lot of things that I would do differently because it's been a lot. It's almost 7 years ago. But still, I think you can see that kind of things that I was trying to tell you about, things that are not perfect, these kind of things. So how much time did I use to do that? I spent a lot of time in 3D. I mean, the room was super simple and I didn't have floor plans to follow, so I could do what I wanted. So the basic structure of the 3D, I think in a couple hours I was done. Just the walls and the windows, and that was it. Then, of course, the detailing. I worked a lot with references first to understand what I wanted. Then, usually, I waste, but it's not a waste of time, in my opinion, a lot of time finding the perfect assets. It can be on 3D Sky most of the time or other places. At the time, it was mainly the only place where I could find stuff.
Yeah.
So I was collecting them and I was spending a lot of time. So if I put all the hours together, also keep in mind that rendering these images took a lot of time back then. But I think like a week, if you put all the hours together, I think it would make sense. Something like that.
Okay.
More or less. I'm not sure, but I would say something like that because also like I handpicked on Pinterest every picture on the wall that I liked, that I thought makes sense. Then here the materials are not great for the plants, but I think I still retouch them. And some things are assets, like this part was already together, but then I put the plant and all the other things. Yes, I would say for these 3 images, around 1 week, I think, if I put all the hours together, probably, and the Photoshop and the rendering and the materials.
2 of them are actually, let's say, this dining and living, and the
Yeah,
third one, is it like a bedroom or
it's the
something?
bedroom. It's the bedroom. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So, it's at the
It's
end
a
of the day, it's
set.
also 3 spaces, it's
Yes,
important
exactly.
to know. It could have been, the living room from different angles, but it's 3 different spaces. Would you say, that imperfections and details can end up being too many, respectively too distracting? Because, on the one side, they're good for realism,
Yeah.
for, believability and all of those things, but at the same time, if you have like a million details and imperfections, things can even start up looking untidy or unappealing, or
Yeah.
what you
I
think?
mean, I think it depends on the space. Like for me, this was like very lived in secondhand kind of space. So in this kind of space, I think it makes sense to pay attention to this stuff and adding more details, but you don't have to go overboard. I mean, if the person you have in mind for the space just bought the entire furniture from scratch, at IKEA or Polyfor, whatever you want, it doesn't make sense to add scratches to the chairs because, of course, it's clear that it's brand new stuff. It could have some fingerprints if you want, if it's a very clean surface, but that's about it. In this case, in this particular project, I think I wanted to keep it a little bit of messy kind of feeling because that was life back then because we were not living in space. And this is still a way too tidy compared to what my place was. Um, yeah, I think it depends on the purpose of the image. If it's a commercial image, never go too overboard with details. Just try to have the things that make sense. For example, like the tilted paintings and these kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, the painting is still tilted in both cases, like in the
Yes.
messy, let's say, more storytelling oriented image, and the one which is meant for marketing purposes. It's still gravity and still the way people hang out
Yeah.
images. But let's say, I mean, here, obviously, it was the pandemic. We have this storytelling on the table at the front, which is, part of the why these images were created. This is part of the backstory behind them and all of those things.
Yeah.
Whereas because let's talk about this actually. Let's talk about realism versus idealism, because
Yeah.
obviously the images with imperfections tend to be more realistic, tend to be more relatable, because reality is imperfect. This is how things are. At the same time, there are images without imperfections, those sleek, clean, let's call them catalog like shots that are also can be very appealing. And despite being maybe less relatable or realistic in terms of what we see around us on a daily basis, and both have a reason to
Yeah.
exist or coexist.
And
So when would you say go for the one and when to go for the others? When do we do the more imperfection images with a lot of detail, and when we go for the clean, sleek catalog shots?
I think once you know your client, you know the reply. Like when you work that personas at the beginning, when you write down the text of the people who's living that space, you know what they want, what they need, what they like. And if it's a couple of wealthy doctors in their 50s with no kids around, they just moved to a new apartment and blah blah blah, you know they don't want to mess around, you know they want the super cool furniture that they actually can afford, and they like those tidy spaces. So I think it makes sense to know who's living the space. So that's why I always try to have a clear answer in mind about who's going to use that space, because there's no right or wrong here, of course. And if I go out of this my house right now and I look around my neighbors, the whole our houses are going to look different, even if we live in the same area, in the same town, in the same. We have different styles, we like different stuffs, and of course, everyone has his styles. There's not nothing. Of course, there are things that could be tackier, and in general, maybe you don't like. But if that's your target group, you have to stick to that. Of course, when you do personal project, you can do whatever you want. So you can design the space for who you have in mind. But I think that's my answer. Always know who you're building that space for. Once you know that, there's no way you're going to get lost in the details or not. You, it's a little bit like a psychologist. You have to enter your client's brain, your potential client's brain,
Yeah,
even if
this is
you're,
important.
yeah,
One of the reasons, by the way, why it is important to not only spend all of your time in front of the PC, but
yeah,
actually go out and meet people, because psychology, want it or not, like it or not, plays a role in client communication as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
You need to be able to read between the lines. Mm, It is like this.
absolutely. Yeah,
And also we shouldn't confuse two things. Like we talked about two things simultaneously in this presentation, like details and imperfections. I think that details probably can never be too much, because the more detail, the more realism, the more close-ups you can do, whatever. At the same time, I think if you overdo it with imperfections, then it could really turn out messy.
yeah. If it makes no sense, then let's leave them out because
Yeah.
there's no
Because
need.
sometimes you see
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Sometimes you see like a rug with like a huge wave in it, which is like a tripping hazard. I wouldn't
yeah,
want to show it like this. Like,
yeah,
I think a good reference are actually IKEA catalogs, because they always make sure to make them lived in and
yeah,
imperfect, kind of slightly messy, but up to a certain degree, which is not over the top, which
yeah,
doesn't look like these are messy people,
yeah.
who live there.
And I
So
actually used to use IKEA catalog to explain what I was doing to people because no one was able to understand like what you do for a living. Yes, you're an architect. Yes, I could be an architect, but I'm not actually an architect. Do you know the IKEA catalog? That's what I do. Not that I do the IKEA catalog, but the stuff that they do are not actually photographs or renders. Oh, wow.
But
And then,
others like you do the IKEA catalog. As far as I know, it's like 300 3D artists there or something.
yeah.
So So yeah,
It's
it's a
crazy.
serious business there. I don't know how much fun it is, and if one person does one image or everybody has their, small task, which could be kind of tedious, boring. I don't know. I'll
I think
gladly
it's a
do this.
lot, but I followed a presentation at some point of my life. I can't remember when, but from IKEA, and they were explaining that they have a program where I don't know if they do it still, but and they exchange the photographers with the 3D artists. So the 3D artists have to go to do the photographs, and the photographers have to do the 3D art. And so they kind of learn by doing all the two things. Then everyone goes back to their things, but it's a good way to learn to
Makes awful lot
exchange.
of sense, actually. I mean, I would recommend to every 3D artist to go do a photography course,
Yes, please.
on-site one.
I mean, you have to know how a camera works, how a shutter speed works, what's the f stops. I mean, you need to know that stuff, the lenses and everything. My father actually gifted to me in Canon I1. Yes, I think that was the name. It's a analog camera with a lens and everything, where I used to print out my also used to buy the black and white kind of, what's the name of the thingy that you put
The
inside?
film? That's
Yes, thank you, that thing. I used to buy it in black and white so your photos could turn out already in black and white. And so that's what I was doing when I was around 16, 17. But yes, you have to know how a lens works. Of course, mobiles are nice. They can do great photos, but please, if you're doing this job, learn stuff about photography. You need it.
You can also use your mobile in a pro mode, which usually lets you set up all those settings, the app stop and all of those
Yes,
things.
but
But of
Theo,
course, a real
it's
camera
not
is,
the same. Yes.
of course.
You can
No,
also
it's not.
rent it. You don't need to buy it. You can also rent it for a weekend if you want.
Or buy an old one on eBay or something, which isn't more that expensive anymore. This
Yes.
is the thing with photographers. They try to always get the new stuff and stuff like this, and they sell the old one. So yeah, you can get stuff nowadays which wouldn't cost you a fortune.
Like, sorry, I'm checking, sharing very useless stuff. But the camera that I have, and it's still kind of working, is this camera.
Of
And
course, show it.
now it's like 90 euro on eBay. So 70 euro on eBay. So it's a very old analog camera. It's super easy. I mean, easy. You have to learn how to use it, but this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. And as you can see, it's not that expensive, at least in Italy. I don't know how it is outside of here. But yeah, that that was my first ever analog camera, and I learned a lot.
This is just the final but major phase of our work. And there is no point of, making brilliant materials and super detailed modeling if you don't know how to capture it afterwards. This is just the truth. Um, there is a question by Amit.
Yeah.
When you're pitching or working for a real estate developer who wants to sell, let's say, the house or a space or whatever, does using imperfection in images make sense, or are they able to accept images, or do they demand clean catalog like stuff?
Clean stuff. I mean, there are some clients that like more lived in, and they explicitly tell you not to go for the showroom kind of style. But right now, the way the market is moving, I think the more developers are into more luxury kind of projects, at least the one that I had the chance to work with. So it's usually on the high end side. And so imperfections are not exactly
Do you
what
see a
they
shift
like.
in this one? Because I don't know. I think for a long time people wanted, those expensive pieces of furniture and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But at least in recent years, I have the feeling that more clients are open to, more lived in, more natural looking, spaces. Because I personally, as a client, this time not as a 3D artist or an architect, but when I see those, like, let's say, catalog, sleek, perfect images, I sometimes really think, oh, that's amazing, but I don't want to live there. I don't want to do anything to do with it, because the moment I add myself to this composition, I'll ruin it. If I add, my mug to it, it doesn't belong there anymore.
Yeah.
And the moment I feel like this, it doesn't feel that inviting to me anymore. It feels like beautiful, like an image, but not like a beautiful space where I can spend every day in my pajamas. And suddenly I'm just feel so off to be there, and you just gotta leave. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I have kind of the feeling, but it's probably just in my bubble, that kind of clients are getting more stuff done by AI by themselves, or like are less and less interested in calling companies, whereas developers who has more access to, of course, money
money.
and options and budgets, and then they understand the quality of the projects that we can provide, our direction, and all those kind of things. But in the end, usually those are very high-end luxury projects. That's why I was saying that, because I noticed a little bit of a shift since when I left for my maternity leave, and when I got back, the AI was like, oh, all over the place. Like in a year, it was like a little bit too much for my liking, but it is what it is. So yeah, for my personal experience, it's a little bit like that in the direction, but of course, it doesn't mean that all the market of the world is going in that direction. But yeah.
Yeah, it really also very much depends on the project. Like, obviously, if you do a hotel room, it needs to be tidy and clean and almost perfect, because this is what hotel guests would expect. So doing like a messy room with a messy bed or something
No,
like this just doesn't
no,
cut
no.
it. It's not the right approach. But I think when it comes to, let's say, residential projects or stuff like this, having a garden which isn't like perfectly neat, like golf type of lawn and all those things. But you just mentioned AI, so let's talk a bit about AI. Of course, we have to nowadays. We do have
We
to.
have.
But my AI questions are related to our topics, not just
Okay.
do you like AI or not? Do you like AI?
I use AI doesn't mean that I like it. No, I mean, it's super useful. A lot of things that I've done in the past months would have been possible at that kind of speed without AI. That being said, I miss, I'm like an old lady, I miss
The
the
old school
good old
times.
times.
Okay, but
I
would you
miss them a
say
lot.
that it
Yeah.
is a good idea, respectively, a sustainable workflow to create basic renders and then let AI add all the details and imperfections and all of those things, or not? Like a sustainable workflow, like a long-term solution.
I mean, I've been discussing that a lot lately, also with other companies. When I go at MADI, for example, I have the chance to talk with other companies and get their ideas. So, in general, what I noticed, what I heard a lot, is that when you let AI take over too much, it's a little bit of a destructive process. So there's no way to go back, and so you kind of lose control. And that's great if you have a client with no other requests, everything is perfect, there you go, that's your image, goodbye and good luck. That could be useful, but most of the time that's not the case. Most of the time you're going to get feedback, and most of the time you're going to go back to the model, you're going to have to re-import it. And it's not so easy to get the same kind of results, even if you use the same prompt, even if you use the best of the best out there. So yes, I think it's great to add details, but when you control it. So for my case, for example, if I should need to do that, I'd like to go to Magnific, for example, place it on top of the Photoshop that I had, and paint only what I want to come
Yeah,
out.
mask it out. Just
Yes, that's it. But I mean, doesn't mean that's the correct way to go. I know some people are just doing an empty room and telling it what to do. There are some great Confu UI workflows out there. maybe I just have to get used to it. Maybe I just have to give up and let it come. I still don't like it that so much
Yeah, I
because
understand. This
yeah,
is, we're keeping it real here. We're always being honest and just saying it as it is. There is no true or false in this case.
yeah,
I personally absolutely understand when I myself don't want to lose my process, and
yeah,
just deliver images because I had fun learning everything I learned so far and
yeah,
then using it in my creating the images that I do. And I still am on the side that I would maybe prefer to have an image which isn't that perfect, but it is done by me rather than,
yeah,
a simple, let's say, mass render, which then I do with AI. But I think it should be explored and see. Like there are examples, for example, Vantage. Vantage doesn't support. It's like amazingly quick. Just as a Corona
yeah,
fanboy, you told me about how long it took to render those images
yeah,
apartment. And then I also use Corona, and usually I'm also into close-ups a lot, which means that like 8 hours aren't untypical, even though my machine is pretty beefy. So the first time I used Vantage and rendered an 8K close-up in like a minute, it was fascinating, but at the same time, Vantage has some limitations. It doesn't support AO, it doesn't support curvature, and most of all, it doesn't support the distance map, right? So I think that if I want to do, let's say, very, sometimes I remember an image by Mattia. I think he had a white wall, and then there were just a few droplets of paint, like as if somebody has painted the wall and there had been
mhm,
some droplets on the concrete floor, which is an amazing and very realistic storytelling in itself. And I cannot do this really, maybe with decals partially in Vantage, but this is where I think AI can help me a bit to
yeah,
tell my story because I'm
sure.
limited by the software. Um, Adding people,
No,
that
yes,
crowd,
that's
and there are
yeah,
useful
yeah,
ways of using it, but
yeah,
I totally agree with you. We shouldn't let it, take the overhand and do the work instead of us, and we just hope for the best that the outcome it comes with.
yeah.
Exciting enough.
No, I mean, it's just because I come from a couple of days where AI has been a little bit too much in my face. So I'm a little bit tired of AI right now. But the truth is that I use it a lot. I use it every day. I use it maybe a bit too much. So it's a great tool, but it's always a tool. I think that's always very important to remember that it's just a tool. The brain is your brain. Please keep using your brain. And that's what makes a difference in the end because I see so many things that looks the same, so many outputs that are the same. So if you don't have anything, I mean, it's one thing is it's I like to talk a lot about personal projects because what that's what I am really passionate about. But of course, there are also the commercial projects. For the commercial projects, it's great where you can add it to the workflow in a way that can really help you get quicker, maybe, or deliver more stuff. I don't know what's in the end what's it's more useful for you exactly. But when you're working on your personal projects, I think it's great to experiment with AI, but I don't know.
Be in
mm,
charge, you know.
yes, please.
And
Yes,
what do you use AI for personally? I mean, looking at your Instagram, which I shared in the beginning, by the way. I hope that's okay for you. It's too
it's
late
fine.
now, even if it's not.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, I mean, I see that you use it for ideation, all of those Hobbit-like images,
Yeah.
bits and stuff, upscaling, enhancement, I assume, animations. I think you did some like
Yeah,
renders that you then animated
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
So what is this what you use AI for? Like say more privately in your personal profile?
Allora, cioè, allora, no more of my brain. I said no. I'm out. Goodbye. And I really didn't touch anything this time around. No AI. I just said goodbye, and I will be back. And as soon as I got back, I understood that things went a little bit different. So I needed to test stuff. So that's why, like, for example, I did that little video of the details. So, for example, in that case, I was testing more things. Um, I was doing the animation both in Midjourney and VL, and I was creating new close-ups and detailed shot from the original. I mean, the original. Let's talk about that
You can show it
stuff.
if you want. This would be nice.
Exactly, that makes probably more sense. So the project was this one, right? The one that you showed. Yes. So those are all the images that I made. Other funny thing, usually I do one image for a project because I'm not that smart. And at some point I realized that maybe once you build everything, it makes sense to turn the camera around.
Thank you so much. I've been saying this since September 2023.
So yeah, for example, this finally happened here. And the video is
This
this
was
one.
quick.
Typing?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm crazy. Is this one right? Yes. So all these detailed shots were first made in Gemini with Nano Banana. And then I animate. Yeah, you see the very happy comments.
I cannot read it. You should read it out loud. This is
Sorry.
intense.
Insane. Now you can create new content without barely doing anything. Bye bye, soul of our art. Strange times. We are not artists anymore, just managers. He was also not really, I don't know him, but he was not really impressive either. But yeah, I mean, I had really fun with this little video. It also had sound, but it doesn't matter. And for me, it was a way to pushing it because what I did with this video, I did it all from my mobile.
Oh,
So I
nice.
didn't even open my computer for that. So the
Maybe he's right
prompting
after all.
is yes, yes. It's exactly. I mean, I told him. I think the same, but it was a test for me. But yes, I did it all from a mobile. It was all the details shot were done in Gemini. All the animation, as I mentioned, with VO and Midjourney. And then I at least I put them together by myself with the
Can't you use
cheapest.
the mobile
Uh,
version of CapCut?
no, yeah, exactly. Something cheap. I mean, something free, basically. But yeah. But I think you have to have the knowledge probably first because I know how to put a video together already. I know how to. But I don't know. I don't know anymore, Theo. I don't know. I think I don't know where we're going. But I like to test it, of course. I'm not against it. I'm just a little bit tired of it. That's it.
Yeah, I
Because
understand.
it's pushing a little bit too much for my liking. And the results tend to be that you always have to be faster, always have to produce more, always have to be produce better. And I mean, we are still humans. Can we also enjoy what we do? I don't know. That's my point of view right now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this animation, gotta quote my mom, who's like, you know what, AI is out there for everyone, and there is cheap or completely free solutions for everyone, but not everyone would make a video like the one that you shared. So the basics, the foundation, the knowledge, the experience still matter. I think what we can discuss is how would our workflow and the way we create images change. And this would be my next question. How do you see it in 10 years from now? I know this is a shitty question, but I'm genuinely curious. I
Yeah,
don't know the answer. I just want to hear from people who come
yeah,
to the show. And I want the audience to hear your takes on this
yeah.
and your honest takes, whatever they may be. How do you envision it?
So I try to go back to the positive, Lisa, because I told
No,
you that.
to the real Lisa.
No, to the real one, yes, but I've been a little bit overfed lately. But it's not the what I really think. What I really think is, I think there is going to be a turnaround at some point. I think we're going to need to do things with our hands and be more present. And I think I already see that with the younger generations. And I don't know. I think our generation comes from that mentality of the overperforming all the time. And it's in our brain. Like, I have this problem myself. I always have to push myself more, but it's something I cannot deconstruct anymore. So, and also most of the time I enjoy what I do. So I don't think it will happen. I think the new generation are a little bit tired of that. They don't do things because they have to. They don't like to do things the old way just because we always done this way. So they like to say more no. And this is a general thing for the new generation that I really, really like. And that's they go way more in depth of things. And that's something that I really like MADI for, because I see every year their final thesis, and every year the general topics changes, and I see how more much deeper they tend to be, much open they tend to be, and much more human they tend to be. So I really like that. That's one side. And the other side, we have AI, and that's here to stay. So as you said, I hope that that video, for example, that was a very easy, quick. I mean, it took me less than a day to do that. And I hope some of that turned out that way, because there was also my brain behind it and my direction. And the reason why I kind of like it is because it's something that if I really had time to do that in 3D, I would have done it probably similarly. And I never take the first result most of the time. If I'm also, because I'm a really lazy prompter, so I try to let it understand what I say and read between the lines, but most of the time it doesn't work. So with Andrea, we call it the lazy intern, the AI, because you really, really have to explain everything, because otherwise but that's because it has no brain, so it's not going to
No
read between the
initiative.
lines. Exactly. So I think it's here to stay. I think our job will change. Not so fast, actually, because I think that, for example, people that value our work will still be there. People that understand that we are not just the render people, but I can also bring something more to the equation, will still be there and open. I think we're going to see less and less architects from competitions, because they can manage by themselves. Of course, they have the knowledge of the architecture, they have some technical skills, and we putting those things together. And of course, the static. I'm from Italy. We most of the things that we have been taught in university is about beauty. So your eye is trained even if you're just an architect. So I think they will manage by themselves. So AI will probably take over that part of the market.
It would be nice if AI actually started helping with the tedious stuff, and wrapping and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And also, there will be regulations, like
yeah.
the European Union, for
Hopefully,
example, will soon have those regulations. There's a very nice video by Vieco, with Randaram, where he explains that, at some point you have to write that this is an AI generated image, if it's not even if it's not completely AI
yeah,
generated.
just retouched. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you have a house, but you create the forest behind it with
Okay.
AI, then you need to write it down, which at some point I think it will be a matter of we wouldn't want to do it,
Yeah.
because let's say you still put in all the work to create the house, to texture it, to light it up, to do the composition, and then you thought, okay, I'll just put this forest behind it with a quick AI prompt, and then but I have to write down that this is an AI generated image, which people will think also goes for the house, and everything
Yeah.
else you already did manually. And I think that at some point people will be like, I don't want it. I'll just spend a bit more time and create the forest myself with a
Yeah.
scatter.
I mean, the
Um,
tools are there. They were there before. So,
yeah, the
yeah.
tools are there, of course. So yeah, absolutely agree with you. Thanks for sharing this. Um, let's talk about learning. So seen from the point of view of an educator and an artist, what you are, can you keep up with all the trends? Like AI is just one of them, but we still have, render engine updates just to show that what just happened with Vado, the newest release of V-Ray. It's not even like a new full version like V-Ray 8. It's V-Ray 7 update 3, but it has so many new features to it already that actually you would need maybe a day or two to just go through them and test them out. And then there are the real-time render solutions, and then there is the AI tools, and then there is this and that. Is it possible to keep up, or can people chill knowing that it's just not possible and it's okay that it's not?
The second one, Theo, please, because I think our brains are handling way too much already. As I mentioned, I think we all need to slow down a little bit. We are not in for the run. Of course, you have to keep yourself up to date. In my case, right now, I'm not teaching because I know I'm not up to date. I decided to step down from teaching. I'm still supporting the students. I'm still giving them feedback. I'm still supporting all the way through placement, generating events for networking. So I'm still very much involved with the students as much as I can, because I mean the trained eye it's not going away. So I think can still give my 2 cents to them. But I'm not using Corona on a daily basis anymore because in the office we are doing using V-Ray and Vantage right now. So I haven't touched Corona in a while. So I couldn't be able to use that because I know that I won't be able to teach them everything they could learn. Of course, the basics are there. I mean, how to build the material and so on and so forth. I think I could still teach it, but I would need to do at least 2 or 3 personal projects on that to be able to go back to that. But right now, that's not my focus. But if someone is still in that, then probably do like me, like personal projects, And when I started, I didn't know what a volumetric was. I mean, the thing is that I started by I learn the job by doing it. And that's always been the case with me because I was sorry, I never still because my first job in this field was at Eve and I started as a 3D modeler. But I know nothing. Like it was funny because my portfolio was very, very bad. Like the first image that you saw was one of those images from the portfolio. It was not realistic. It was not good. But Eustace, the former founder of Eve, told me that he saw something in me and he told me, I can teach you the tools. And that's something that stuck with me like forever. And I always think that, like, if you have an eye, you can always learn the tools and the tools will change. So it doesn't make sense that I need too much from you on the tools. Of course, if you are a senior and you're there for that, it makes sense that you know that already. But my path was that I started as a 3D modeler. I was really doing like uh, all the crazy details of the lamps, like everything. And my mentor back then was teaching me how to create an object, and that was very helpful. But that was learned by doing. And then I asked Eustace, can I do images now? Because I'm a little bit tired of doing models. And he told me you can try. And then I started doing interiors. And then I wanted to know more, and I decided to do a master in interior design and communication at the UF. And it's always like that for me. If I want to learn something, then usually I go for it. Like this year, I was into learning more about marketing, and I started studying that. And now I have some certification that means nothing, but for me, that means that I learned something new. And for example, I'm applying that to renderit. There is like a little format that is called branded, because I think that many people in our field are very good with images, but very bad with personal branding, and they're not so good at selling themselves. So I'm trying just to bring together some tips about general marketing information that probably they don't know. But it was very funny because I had a meeting a couple of nights ago for a consultant job, and this person was telling me, I actually applied this thing that I learned from Bandit, and it worked. It worked too well because the person was already always getting the more expensive option, but I actually wanted him to get the cheaper one. So that's rewarding for me, because when you can give something to the people, but I'm going too much overboard. Going back to tools, I think if you want to learn something, just test it out. And that's for me, the way I work, like my brain works, is the only way. Testing out, making occasion for you to testing it. For example, and then.
Yeah. So the personal projects seem like a way
Yes.
for you to learn.
Yes, for me it is. Like I have this project. At some point, I was so upset. I mean, I'm always obsessed with volumetrics, but I really wanted to learn how to work with clouds and do them in 3D. Of course, you could do them in Photoshop, but I saw a similar photo, and I really wanted to replicate that. So those two images were born this way, just because I wanted to learn how to work with volumetrics. Or this, as I mentioned, started just because I really wanted to learn how to manage caustics that were kind of realistics, and the ripple effect. You know, they were always great occasions for me to test out different things and to learn about light, about details, about materials, about composition as well. So yeah, do
So
stuff.
immediately just try it out, just don't only, I mean, do you also learn some or read some theory or do some research, or do you immediately go into
I'm so
implementing?
bad. I'm so bad. No, I really have no patience. I'm a little like crazy hamster running around. So I really have to put my hands on stuff to learn it. I tried to read sometimes. I tried to watch two YouTubes, but I really have to do it. I mean, of course, I need to look at some places to learn the basics. So I, of course, check some YouTube videos sometimes, but or also from the cows. It was not, yeah, the Corona website back then. They had this nice detailed information, so I tried it. But I very much learn by doing stuff.
I've always been like this too, by the way,
Yeah,
but now with our exercise, I actually bought some books on interior design because I'm a classic
well done.
architect. I've never learned proper interior design, and I bought some books, and I actually enjoy a lot going through them. But it is, I feel you, because when I read the books and there is something there, I'm like, okay, I gotta go try it out.
Yeah.
But you cannot read the book this way because it would take like forever. It would take years. But I managed to implement some of the knowledge, some of the analysis of a space already in, because I'm working with Ines on this one. And recently we had a talk, and I showed her a few pictograms and stuff, and she was like, "Whoa, you developed a lot since last talk." And I enjoy it actually. I mean,
Yeah.
try it out someday. It's actually fun.
I mean, I say that, but then of course, I have a postgraduate master, and I got it when I was already working. So at some point in my life, I got back to school. I really learned the stuff because my postgraduate master in interior was when I was already working at Bloom. But I really wanted to be the person specialized in interior there. And I asked them, can I be absent for a while on Fridays, please? And they agreed. So I studied. So I was working Monday to Thursday, then Friday and Saturday I was going to Venezia to learn and to take it.
But
And
they
then
profit from it, right? I
I
mean,
hope so. I
at
think
the
so.
end. So of course they
Yes,
would
but you know,
agree.
it's not always easy to find someone that it's open minded like that. I mean, in Italy it's almost impossible. But
Good to
you
know.
know,
But
it
it's
was
very inspiring though,
yeah,
because it's not like, okay, you started in this company, this is the end of it. What you've learned until this point, this was it. You can still learn. You can maybe even make some type of agreement with the company you work for to learn more, because once again, even some companies in Germany even pay for this because
yeah.
they know they profit from it in the end. So
Yeah, they supported me. They covered half of the price of the master back then, so it
yeah,
was
fantastic. It's a
yeah,
win-win actually.
yeah,
Also, another good way of learning and keeping up, I would say, is networking. All
yeah,
those like live events that you attend, being as a speaker or being just as a part of the audience, definitely helps out, because if you hear it, every company promotes their product as if it is the best solution out there.
yeah,
But if you meet a bunch of people and you hear from them, there is like, it becomes kind of representative what
yeah,
actually works and what doesn't. So
yeah.
you don't have to try out everything. You can pick the one which is already pre-approved, so to speak. Right.
Yeah, but also like having, I mean, I'm incredibly, extremely lucky because part of what I do at MADI is being there as support when we have international speakers, teachers coming, or I mean, not in house, not our usual teachers, but someone
Yeah.
that is coming from the outside.
The stars.
So the stars. And of course, you are there and you have lunch together, you have coffee together, you sit together, and it's just you. And I mean, for example, with Mike Golden, like we are friends now, is from the US, is very good. Is also known as Droki, is his high alias, but he is also has a company that is called Three Marks. And he's been coming to Mali for a lot. And actually, what we speak about usually it's our kids, but we also speak about the industry. And I had lunch with Peter Guthrie, who's is an incredible, humble person and very gentle, and Andrea Baresi from Estetica. So I'm super lucky. And I know I'm in a privileged position because I can have these people with me for lunch, open as a book. Because what I notice in this field, and you know that as well, it's a very much an open minded people kind of industry, and there are not secrets or people that don't like to share most of the time. So yeah, speak with the people, try to meet them as much as possible, and try to grab their knowledge. Just
This is
hear
the
them
bonding
talking.
Nikos was talking about, as he was like, yeah, go to people, talk, and then you start talk. I mean, if we, as we met in Lerchen und Eulen in Berlin, it was the kids that we started talking about, right?
Yeah,
You find a common ground, and then you can deepen, your connection. And now you're here in my show. We'll meet each other in June. This is how things work out. And as you say, we have a very open-minded and friendly community with some divas are there and rock
of
stars, but most
course.
people are tend to be very grounded,
Yeah.
very very friendly, and pleasant to be around, and they actually gladly answer your questions and all of those things. So if you have the chance, do this, and if not, do it like Amit, create your own local
Yeah.
community or start creating it, because yeah, then once again you meet people more and more, and the larger it gets, the more, let's say, of the stars it will attract at
Yeah.
some point. And someday it may be, the huge Mumbai meetup, which awesome people like Lisa will be invited to speak in front of.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
just call me.
Yeah. Same here, by the way. Uh, okay. And of course, I gotta ask you this because you have the three small kids, you have your job, and you have the side gigs, and I think everyone would understand if you drop them, but you don't.
I know.
So why and how?
Why,
How? It's
Lisa?
both important.
Why? That's
Why?
also. So the why is also my husband is also asking the same actually, but let's say I'm not alone in this. I have a super supportive and equal husband, and that's
Much love for Andrea.
Andrea, and that of course that's how it should be, I think, but unfortunately it's not always like that. And the grandparents, like right now, Andrea is not alone with the three kids. His mother is helping him. So let's say that I'm not a superhuman. I have people that are supporting me, are allowing me to be here, for example. And that's one of the reasons why I left Berlin, because family was important for me, and I wanted to be close, and have this kind of net of support and be there also for them. So that's the first thing. So how things are possible? It's because I'm not alone. Of course, I'm always, unfortunately, very tired. But I'm also, unfortunately, also very passionate. I say unfortunately because that's why I cannot stop, because that's how I work. It's not for everyone. It's kind of cute that some time, like I had a couple of times, we do this 1-to-1 sessions at the university. I call them the psychologist sessions because I sit with. I mean, they have a round of feedback of images, a round of feedback on portfolio, and then they come to me when we talk about their future. So potential place to go for their internship, what they like, what they don't like, what they would like to concentrate on, and usually that's we tend to speak a lot, and it happens a couple of times when I ask them, "What do you want to do? What do you like? What it's your thing?" And then I had this student telling me, "I want to do what you do." No, no, you don't want to. And I told her, please,
Reconsider.
no, that's not a good idea. Um, because I also realized that sometimes it's a little bit too much. Sometimes I very much way too tired than I should be. But what it works for me, it's that I have a very flexible job. I mean, I'm still employed by Bloom, but after my first kid, I asked them to work 6 hours, and that's like forever been like that. So my main job is happening in the first quarter of the day. So I start at 8:30 and I'm done by 3:30. That's also why I'm here talking to you, because I'm free in the afternoon actually. And usually it's because I take care of the kids with Andrea. He also does the same. He's also off in the afternoons. And if I have anything else, then it's where it's happening. And for example, my consultant job is happening at night. It's night for me. It's 8 o'clock in the afternoon, in the evening. But for me, it's deep in the night because the kids wake up pretty early in the morning. But yes, it's trying to balance. It's not always easy because unfortunately, I tend to let myself behind a little bit. Like, for example, taking care of myself. I was telling you, like right now I'm speaking to you, but I have a very big warm band-aid on my back because I really hurt myself the other day. And I'm
Trying
sure
to pick up both boys, right?
they're very heavy boys. Yes, they're one now and they're very heavy. And so yeah, that's the downside. So it's not all good. It's not all great. I'm not always this smiley, bubbly, happy person. If you can talk to my husband about that. Sometimes I'm really a monster. But you don't.
I only know you like this, though. I gotta say.
Yes, that's something that I reserve for my poor husband, unfortunately.
Oh, Okay.
So I think you would keep. I mean, and if you do something very bad, you could also see me that way. But usually, it's not easy to make me that angry.
Okay, gotta try it out in Warsaw or something.
Let's see.
There's a question by Danushka. How many hours do you have for a day with 3 kids? How many? I don't know if it's about how many hours do you have with the kids, or how
Yeah,
much time do you have for
so the kids
yourself?
going, the big one goes to school, and the small ones goes to the kindergarten, the nursery, I don't know,
Daycare? I don't know.
the daycare. Yes, that thing where you put big, very small kids, and we pick them up at 3:30. So that's it. And that's my life with them until they go to bed. But since I lived in Germany, they are very Germanized. So they have dinner at 6, and by 7:30 they are all in bed. Also the old one. So by then I could still live my life. Usually I go to bed as well. But if I have something to do, for example, like consultant job or these kind of things, I tend to put them there, like the co-working space. I told Andrea last week, let's have a date night and let's make the website for the co-working. And I promised myself I would have done it for an hour and a half maximum, and I end up going to bed at midnight. And it could sound normal to many people, but for people with kids, that's like a rave party, So I took 4 days to recover from that. But the website is up and running, and I think it's also really nice.
Please share it afterwards. I don't have this one. I was prepared, but I didn't have this one.
Yeah, because I just released it the other day instead of going to sleep.
Yeah. Okay. I actually, you know what? Hearing about your day and your schedule and the lack of time, I don't want to hold you here any longer. I just want to ask you about your message to the Chaos Campus, to this community. You've seen it already. You've been here. You know what's going on. It's very cool, very supportive, very tight.
Yes, it's a very open community, and I think that's the drive. I mean, for me, at least, behind what I do. I already told you, and we already discussed that I see a lot of similarities with renderit, and that's the reason why I started it. It's because community. It's what, in the end, really makes a difference. Having some people to share the stuff. Many people are working from home. Many people are working remotely. Many people are freelancing. For me, it was very easier to start because I went into bigger companies and I was supported at the beginning, and I had my mentors sitting next to me. And then when I moved back home, it was not the same. Of course, there is Andrea, but we tried to not to speak to each other too much about work during the
This is
day.
how marriage works.
That guy there. No, but we focus on very different topics. He's more into other kind of projects than me. And also right now I'm not doing images. So it's very different what we do. So definitely the people, it's something that one will never be replaced, but by the AI and the connection that you create. You never know what they're going to bring and where they're going to bring you. So be open, talk to the people, go to the events, and say hi, and don't be shy. Please, because I have that a couple of times that people write me on Instagram after an event and telling me, "Hi, I saw you. I didn't speak to you. Why?" Like, I'm also very small, so I don't think I'm that scary. So please come up. I'm always.
She's not scary. I can confirm.
No. I'm this very small Italian girl. No one time woman.
By the way, people saying, Mariana says, what a wonderful session. Happy to be here finally. Amit, thank you, Teo. Thank you, Lisa, for a wonderful session. It was fabulous. Thank you all for tuning in and being a part of this session. Danushka, thank you so much for this session. I really enjoyed it. Hoping to hear your thoughts, knowledge, and experiences in the future with us as well. Best of luck. So please be active. Tell the renderit about us. I mean, the Chaos Campus, we're already telling about renderit, but you can gladly make a post and invite all Italians or Italian speakers to come to renderit, because in the end of the day, we should unite. We should be together. And I also want to thank you for this wonderful session, and sharing your scarce time with us too. I love this absolutely genuine and laid back, but also very informative and inspiring talk. And before we finish the session, let me just say also thank you to the audience, those who prefer to stay with us, or those who watch the recording afterwards, which is most of you guys. Next episode is going to be on Tuesday, obviously Tuesday, May 12th. 2026 at 4 p.m. Central European Time, if nothing changes. And we'll have the amazing Santi Sanchez from Dresden, Canaletto, join us here for a new portion of tips and tricks for your interiors. So make sure to be there. And until then, stay safe, be healthy. Don't forget to rock on and keep it real, my friends.
Thank you all.
And grazie and arrivederci.
Grazie a tutti. A presto. Ciao ciao.